Welcome to Creating Magic Moments with Your Partner. My name's Mari Ryan and I'm from the Love Doctors, and over the next 15 minutes I'm going to give you some ideas on creating some really wonderful occasions with your partner and spicing up your relationship. I hope that sounds good to you. All right, so thank you for coming and being on this video journey with me. As you can see down below, or just reminding you that there is a PDF below this video which you can download, and there's some exercises or some little pointers and notes and questions that you can write as we go along the video, just so that you remind yourself of these little tips that I'm giving you today, so that you can look back and you'll be able to put these into place. So if you haven't already, download that PDF and grab a pen, and as we go along I'll remind you of those questions. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? So today in this video I'm going to talk about the 8 senses. I'm going to also talk about creating the mood. All right, and I'm also going to give you some tips for a memorable date. All right, so hopefully that sounds good to you. All right, so just a little bit about me. I have a Bachelor of Applied Science. I actually am a qualified chef also, and I've been teaching food and nutrition for many years now. I have a diploma in counselling as well. So what brought me to be working with aphrodisiacs, and that's the whole sort of focus that I work with when we're talking about improving relationships, and that's because I love cooking, and our relationship was getting a little bit stale. So I thought, well, let's try out these aphrodisiac foods. I'd heard that they work, and I thought, oh, let's give it a try. So I tried out some using aphrodisiac foods, and I realised that our libidos, my partner and my own libidos, increased dramatically. And so we've been using them ever since as our natural stimuli to eating wonderful foods. And that brings me to just giving you some information on setting a scene too. For you might want to do a dinner date with your partner. So just getting all the elements together to make that a memorable occasion. So firstly, we're going to talk about the 8 senses. So the first question on your worksheet says, what are the 8 senses? So they are your eyes. You've got 2 eyes, so that's 2 senses. Then we've got your nose, that's another one. Ears, you've got 2 ears, so that's another 2. Then we've got 2 hands, which that's another 2, and 1 mouth. So add them all together, and that makes 8 senses. So we've got our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, and our hands. All right, and they're the senses that we use to see the world, or hear the world, smell the world through. So we see the world through our eyes. We use our nose for smell, we use our ears for sound, we use our hands for touch, and we use our mouth for voice and taste. All right, so hopefully you've written those down now, and then I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about these senses and how most of us are dominant in one of these 8 senses. All right, and you can actually find out or work out which sense your partner is more dominant in, and then if you work that out, you can actually make your memorable moments extra special, because you can make sure that that sense is being stimulated in activities that you do. So for instance, what I'm meaning here is that the eyes are actually, or visual people are people that see the world through their eyes, and that's about 70% of our population. So that's the majority of people. Actual dominant sense is through sight, and you can tell if your partner is a visual learner or a visual person by the way they speak and the words that come out of their mouth. So you can just listen to a conversation they're having, even with another person. It doesn't even actually have to be with you. You could pick up on the types of words they say, and they'll say things like, I see what you mean. That looks good to me. Yes, I like the look of that. So it's all words to do with the eyes and looking and seeing. So hence that person is a visual person. So then visual things are really important to that person. So looking good is important. If you're going to make a dinner or a special dinner, then the table is really important to them. So the table setting, the way it looks, the lighting. Okay, so when you're creating this, for instance, we'll just use a dinner date as an example. So you're creating a dinner, a special dinner for your partner. So you may need to have what we suggest is candlelit dinner. It's always way more romantic, and there's a lot of benefits with a candlelit dinner other than just the romance that you might not have known about. And they are, if you have a bit of a blunder in the kitchen, it can be masked by the dim lights. Good, hey? Do you like that one? And also, you might have been planning this dinner date for a while and you're pretty excited about it, and you wake up with a zit. How many people wake up with a zit in a really special morning? Happens a lot to people. So you can mask that also by the dim lights. All right, so there's plenty of reasons why we recommend candlelit dinners, and the flickering of the actual candle is a real stimuli as well, and it's a real turn on for visual people. So it's really important that you have lovely candlelit dinners. The lighting is as mood lighting, what we call mood lighting. Okay, table setting is another really important thing here. So you might want to do things like have some flowers. They add smell and they add visual as well, so that you've got your smell coming in there too, because you actually want to touch on all your 8 senses. You don't want to just touch on the dominant one of your partner. It's always good to touch on all of them, but make sure the dominant one of your partner has been adhered to or addressed. All right, so smells there, with some nice smells from your flowers, or you might have a scented candle, or you might burn some incense or something like that to have a nice smell in the room. Okay, so roses are a great flower, or you can just pick a flower out of your garden or go for a walk and pinch some flowers from some of your neighbours' gardens. But the reason why we say roses are because roses, especially red roses, are the colour of romance and love. And the other advantage is that you can actually nibble on roses. So if you wanted to have a bit of a nibble on it, or you can have them dried, so you don't have to have fresh roses when you've got plenty blooming. You can dry some of them and use them at different times of the year. But they don't have to be roses, and I've given you some other options, pinching some of your neighbours or getting some out of your garden. So flowers are important, candles are important for the visual appeal. Now, getting back to the dominant senses. So if your partner or yourself is not dominant, so it's good to try and work out what you are and your partner is in the dominant sense, then they're most likely going to be auditory, because there's 20 odd percent of the population. So we've got 70% visual, 20%, I think it's 22% being auditory. And auditory is seeing the world through or feeling the world through their ears. Okay, so their idea is that they love music, they feel better around music, they don't like people speaking too loud, and they like soft tones of voices and things. So you can tell, again, if your partners or yourself are dominant in auditory by the words that they speak again. So again, listen to their conversation, and they'll say things like, "I hear what you're saying. That sounds great. Let's do it. That sounds good to me." So it's all words around hearing rather than seeing. So it's pretty easy to work out what sense your dominant sense is, and also your partner's dominant sense. So again, as I said, it's great to get all the 8 senses into your mood when you're creating the mood. But music is always, dinner is much more enjoyable when you've got music. And funnily enough, there was a study done in Chicago, and they found that jazz singers or jazz music, it was actually by the National Opinion Research Center in Chicago, they found that jazz listeners have more sex. So my recommendation is that you have jazz music in the background when you're doing your dinner date. Isn't that amazing? So yes, jazz, play some jazz and you'll have some more sex. Doesn't that sound good? Really simple tip. So what you can do is you don't have to go out and buy jazz music. There's actually an ABC jazz channel on your radio. So if you haven't got any jazz music, never fear, you can go to the ABC channel there. So you've got your visual and your auditory, and the third dominant or most dominant of all the senses is the actual is kinesthetic. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before, but kinesthetic is touch. Okay, so some people actually feel the way through the world. They feel their way through the world, and they do this through touch and feel. And you can tell a kinesthetic person very easy. They're the ones who stand really close to you, and some people feel a bit of their personal space being invaded by these people, but they don't mean it, because remember, they feel the world. Okay, they don't see the world, they don't hear the world, they actually feel the world. So that's why they want to stand close to you, because they understand things better if they're close. They also love to be touched. So they're the people that will always touch you, or they'll put their arms around you, hug you, and they love you to do the same. So if your partner is kinesthetic, it's really, really important that you touch them. So you need to hug them, you need to kiss them. And a really good way of doing that in a meal is to give them a bit of a hand massage, or feed them some food, something where you're actually touching them. So there you have it. They're the three forms of dominant senses. So you've got your visual, you've got your auditory, and you've got your kinesthetic or touch. So now what I'd like you to do, which is question 2 and 3, is which sense do you think you're dominant in? So are you a visual person, are you an auditory person, or a kinesthetic person? And then I'd like you to do the same with your partner. So have a bit of a think. So what do you think your partner is? Is your partner visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? Okay, so hopefully I've given you some ideas of some really important things you need to do when you're doing a dinner date. All right, so that brings me on to what we've learned. Now, I've put a bit down the bottom is some tips for your date, and I haven't talked about that. So if you're doing a date at home and you have children, it's really, really important that the children, you have them minded for the night, because this is a special date between you and your husband or your partner. And this is where we're hoping that some intimacy happens, and obviously, hopefully, some sex at the end. So you don't want any interruptions. So this is a special night between you and your partner. So no friends, no kids, nobody there to interrupt the time that you two are going to have together. So that's one really important tip. So that's in the area where it says tips that you need to consider to have this memorable moment. That's one you might need to write down. So make sure you've got a babysitter for the kids. Another one is, if you're actually cooking the food, that you need to be as prepared as possible in advance, because you want to actually enjoy the night and be present and part of the night. You want to be in the dining room with your partner. You don't want to be in the kitchen cooking away and then your partner's in the dining room, because it's not going to connect. It's not going to be a memorable moment for both of you, and it's not going to be a real turn on for either of you if you're in the kitchen and he's in the dining room or she's in the dining room. Okay, so it's really, really important that you're prepared in advance, that you make meals that you can just heat up or just do a very little bit to them, so that you can both be in the dining room together. Okay, and some other things like, as I said, tips with having some music. It's really important that you have some time in between each course. Don't rush the course. It's about courses. It's about you two connecting and having fun together, and really enjoying each other's company. So you need to have time to talk and not talk about the mundane things of the day. Okay, another tip. So don't talk about work and all those bills and all those things that are not a turn on. Okay, talk about your desires. What turns you on, what turns him or her on. So what are some of your fantasies? Maybe you do a little bit of dirty talk, or some pillow talk, or whatever. Or maybe you have a bit of a nibble of each other's ear, or a kiss on the neck, or anything that turns both of you or one or the other on. So make sure that you do have some time in between, and you might, if you've got your jazz music, you might want to have a little bit of a boogie in between. Just make it fun, because jazz music is actually really, if you dance to it, it's actually very sexual dancing. It's very close dancing. It's very hip dancing, so you're using your hips and things, and so there's a lot of touch involved as well, so it's a real turn on type of music to dance to as well. So they're all tips. So it's things, really important things: be prepared, be organized, make sure the kids are minded, have time in between each course, and make sure you're both in there enjoying it, and it's enjoyable for both of you. And tell each other some of your desires and things, some of the things that you'd like to do together as a partnership. All right, so hopefully you've got it all. So we've got our senses, we've got our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and fingers as our senses. We've got creating the mood through your visual, through your auditory, and through your kinesthetic, and then the tips all around making it a memorable moment so there's nothing in the way of spoiling your special occasion. All right, so thank you very, very much for listening. And because you've been here for the whole time, I've actually got a gift to give to you because you've stayed through the whole presentation. I want to thank you for that. So my gift is a free chapter of our brand new book, just out, Are You Faking It? So you can collect that by going to www.areyoufakingit.com.au. You'll receive that gift, and alongside that gift, you'll actually receive 20 educational videos, just like this video that you've had now. And there's some, on cooking, there's some on the mind, and there's some really great stuff in there. Some on relaxing techniques, some on sexual positions, as in some massage tips that you can massage certain areas to be turn-ons, etc. So lots of fun and exciting information in those free videos. So download those, and I'm sure you'll have some great fun with them. So enjoy your memorable moments. Bye.